Hello there, welcome back to Vintage Story. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It is finally spring. You wouldn't know it by the temperature outside, but yep, it's spring. So eventually this snow will all melt. But I have been busy a bit processing down a lot of quicklime. We still have a whole ton of lime to go, and we have a whole lot more chalk to process into lime. I've got 404 quicklime, so that's enough for 404 plaster walls, which is maybe a quarter of what we need for this base. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. I am gonna go around though, since I haven't done it since last episode, and just change up the shape a little bit. As I mentioned, right now it is just a flat square. And we're gonna give it a little shape, bring some parts in, have some parts out, just so it's not a boring square. So it's got a little shape and you can have almost like auxiliaries connected to it. But while I wait for the rest of this to process down and that to process down, we're going to jump into a quick clip that I recorded earlier of how to set up some automation so that you can automate some of the production, namely the pulverizer. All right, we're going to do a little bit of work to make automation a bit easier. So just took a copper ingot off. We're going to make a chute section. This is made very similarly to how we make the, is it the boss from the shield? You see, we just gotta move all the parts over to the outer ring. And you're gonna have about 10 bits left over when you're done. So, you know, you don't have to worry too much about not having enough parts. And then we're going to craft up a... Actually, I gotta move these over. And then we're going to craft up a pair of hoppers. I've got to make another plate before we can do that, but we'll make a couple hoppers. And then we can see about automating our... I know we can automate the pulverizer. I do not remember if we can automate the querns. So we'll find that out in a minute. So that's a chute section. I've got another 4 made up. We technically only need 2 of them per chute that we're going to make. But I wanted to make an extra one so I could show you how it's done. And then we're going to make a plate like I said, so we can make up 2 hoppers. Obviously, this would be easier to do on the Helve Hammer, but I don't have that set up right now. I tore it down so I can put a pair of querns down. So we're doing this the old-fashioned way. Okay, there we go. Now we got our plates, so let's pick up all those, put them together. And to make a hopper, we need 3 plates in a V. So we're going to do 2 hoppers worth. And then to make the chutes, let's grab these 4 sections. And there are a number of different chutes we can make. An elbow chute, which is what we're going to be making. A straight section. A T cross intersection. A T intersection. A 3-way elbow. And Archimedes screws, which will allow you to lift items up. And an Archimedes screw with a port, so you can eject items as you bring them up. So we are making just the elbow chute. We're going to need 2 of them right now. Let's use the hot one so I get rid of it. And so that gives us 2 elbow chutes. And let's wait till the morning, and then we'll get to automating this. Okay. It's daytime, technically. Let's see about automating this. So, with... yeah, I set up 2 querns to make this a little quicker for myself, but we're going to pull this one down for now. I did not bring my pick. Thankfully, you can punch them. So we're going to pick this up. Okay, so the way we automate the pounder is we want a chute in the front and an elbow joint. Put the elbow... That is not where we put the elbow joint. Put the hopper there, the elbow joint like that. And now, hopper has an internal inventory. If we put some of these stones in here, they feed in and start pounding. And there we go. Output's in the back. If we dig down and put a hopper here, then the items will come out, fall onto the hopper, and if we're far enough away, they'll get picked up by the hopper and stored in an inventory. We could then output this hopper into a chest, which I did not grab, or make for that matter, but that way you can move the items. You don't need a elbow joint for going into a chest, but you do need the elbow joint for that part there. So I want to test. That's wrong again. I want to test if we can take from this hopper and deposit into the quern, and then use another hopper to pull out of the quern. So we're going to want this above it, elbow joint there, going into the side. Let's remove all that out. Can I put that in? Yes. Awesome. Second question. Can I take this and put it underneath? Here's the thing. If I break the block underneath the quern, I think the quern's gonna drop. Yes, it does. So we need to place the hopper first, and then place the quern on top of it. Can I place it on top? I don't know if I can place it on top. Requires solid ground, so I can't place the quern on top of that. So if I do that, I can at least input chalk into there. Okay. Can I use that to pull out? No. And I can't put the hopper underneath it. So I don't think we can automate the output, but we can automate putting in, which isn't really all that useful since you can only go up to 64 in the output slot anyway. But we can automate this. And I'm going to need to go make another set of, or another hopper to pick up the output. But that does allow us to at least automate turning the stones into gravel and then turn the gravel into sand. So we can actually get started on our walls with the plaster. That's half the battle. I'm still processing down all of our lime into quicklime, but since it is now spring, I figured we better get our farm fields up and running, even though it is just a little too cold for most crops overnight. But you notice I am doing the furrowed fields from Primitive Survival again. And because I actually did all of them and I forgot to show you, right? Yeah, I did all of them. Just show you again here quickly. If you place a plot down, you can hoe it once to turn it into farmland. And with Primitive Survival, if you then shift and hoe it a second time, it becomes a furrowed farmland, which you can then take a bucket, which I don't have on me, and add water to it, and that will be a water source for any crops around it. It's no different than just digging a hole and putting a water source in the hole, except this way you're not falling into a hole when you're walking around your farms. So yeah, it's, like I said, it's no different. It just, I think it looks a little nicer, and yeah, I don't have to worry about falling. The thing is, they can get clogged, and in the winter they can freeze. They get... Actually, I have some already set up. Under here. If they freeze, all you have to do is punch them until the ice breaks, and then it will be water again, just like if you broke ice out on a lake or river or something. And if they get clogged, you just have to clean them out. You get rot, sticks, and dry grass every now and then. But that will provide moisture up to 80, I think 80%. Again, it works essentially the exact same way as a hole of water, so it doesn't provide 100% for hydration, but it'll provide enough that your crops will continue to grow. And once we have these fields set up, I'm going to do one whole section of flax for now, I think. What's the temperature range on flax? -5 to 40. So right now it'd be perfectly fine. It's -3 out, but tonight it will drop down to something like -8 or so still. So it's not yet smart to plant the flax. The crops will get damaged overnight. We could plant turnips. Turnips have a higher, well, technically lower temperature tolerance. They're good to -8 or 10, I believe. Rye also, but I've already got rye planted, so I don't need to plant more rye. And then as it gets warmer, I can go ahead and plant everything else. This does look nice, though. It's going to look better once everything's done. Here we go. Perfect example. It froze over in the cold. So we literally just punch it, and it goes back to water, to liquid water. But yep, all the fields are nice and hydrated, or getting there. There's a few spots here. That's because that froze over. So that hydration will go back up. And because I only put them down, there shouldn't be any with debris in them, but it will happen eventually. And the drifters are worshipping my cat once again. At least when they're doing that, they're not aggressive. That is, of course, the cat from the cat mod. They would not do that if I didn't have the cat mod installed, mostly because there would not be cats in the game. I revised the layout a little bit, but we are finally at the point where we're adding the plaster walls. All these rammed earth, yeah, they're going to be removed. I just have them down to mark out the different sections for now. And yeah, right now it's literally just a visual foundation, so I know where to put the plaster. These will all be dug up and plaster will be placed to replace it. But I have this section here, which is going to be the primary house. It's going to be a couple stories tall. We have this area back here where I think I'm going to do a sort of L-shaped staircase going down into our main cellar, where we'll have all of our food. We'll have a sealed room for food storage, and then we'll have a non-sealed room for non-perishable stuff. But that'll be down this way. So if that starts like here and goes down, then along this wall here we can have our ovens, and we can have our cook station like over here. And then this would be one part of the the primary entrance room, which will lead upstairs. And then we have sort of this covered veranda, which is going to wrap all the way around this outer wall and connect to over here, which is going to probably be a storeroom. And then we have, well, of course, this open section, which I'll do something with. I'm going to put grapes over here, have like a vineyard inside. It'll be over here. And then this little room over here will be our stable specifically for our elk. That way we don't have to go into the barn to get our elk. It'll be part of the house. Here'll be our main door. We can just grab our elk and go out. And when we come back home, we can just come back in, drop off the elk, and then go do whatever we need to do. So that's where we're at. Just to remind you, to make the plaster, we need to take sand and the quicklime. And it's one plaster, one sand equals one quicklime. Sorry, one quicklime, one sand equals one plaster. And I think I'm just going to focus on getting the house done right now. Once I have... Oh, and I'll figure out the doors in a little bit. once I have the house outlined and to the right height, I can then come around through and start taking care of everything else. Namely, the outer walls. Outer walls aren't nearly as important as the house walls, because once we get the house up and running, then we actually have a house to live in. But yes, I had to redesign this many times while I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted it to look like. If we look at the map, you can see some of the outlines from where the old walls used to be. I shrunk it down quite a bit. It used to be 42 by 42. Now from here to that corner, I think I came in by 4, right? Yeah, so 42 minus 8 is what, 36? So it's about 36 that way by maybe 38 that way, but then again, it's got some of these corners and it's not all straight. It's not a big old square anymore. That's the important part. Oh, and just a reminder, I will be going through this later with Waddle and Daub, so I can add a little bit of texturing to the walls and the corners and whatnot, so it looks like there's a bit of shading going on. It's not all just going to be a flat plaster wall. And I died to a Bowtorn on our way out of the cave after collecting a bunch of claystone after nearly getting crushed to death by a cave-in. Yeah, we need claystone for, well, we don't need. I want claystone for part of the house build. If you've watched Charles's video, you see he used conglomerate for part of the ground. I'm going to use claystone instead. I think it matches a little better. So I'm out collecting claystone, and the benefit of that is we can take all the stones that we collected and crush those down into gravel and then into sand, so we have more sand to make more plaster. So 2 birds, 1 stone. But yeah, so I got killed by a Bowtorn on my way out of the cave, and I think it's about time we make some everyday armor. And luckily enough, I just finished a large batch of leather, so let's run back. We're almost home anyway, and we can get that started. I do want to see if... yeah, this isn't nearly done enough because the wind stopped. We'll come back to that later. Alright, so we do have a bunch of leather, like I said, so we want to make a full set of leather armor. The benefit of leather armor is it doesn't have any hunger or speed reductions to it. It's only tier 1 protection, so it's not the greatest, but against surface drifters and surface Bowtorn and whatnot, it's going to protect us enough that instead of taking about 4 damage per hit, we'll be taking between 1.5 and 1 damage. So yeah, so we're gonna make that. We need to make the leggings, which I think are those. Yes, and then the helmet is that. There we go. Oh, I was not 100% correct on that. And then we can toss on the leather armor. You'd think it'd probably keep you a little warmer also. Doesn't, but at least now I can take a hit or 2 from a surface drifter and not have to worry about it. It's not going to help us if a wolf or bear decides to make us lunch. It will help a little bit. It'll reduce the damage from like 5 to 4. We'll survive an extra 1 hit. But yes, now we have just a little more protection. And maybe when I go cave diving next time, I'm not as likely to die to something stupid like a Bowtorn. It didn't even shoot me. It killed me in a melee attack. It punched me to death. A Bowtorn punched me to death. They don't have arms. Anyway, this area here, I realized like this is gonna be upraised, right? We're gonna walk up some steps to it's a raised veranda, essentially, right? And that's gonna go all the way around. That means the inside here is gonna be raised too. Well, I don't necessarily want to use wood, and I definitely don't want to use dirt or mud. So, well, I might use some packed dirt to put it down here so nothing collapses. Then we can do this. And You know, I think that looks pretty good. We can also remove that one because we're going with the stone there. And then here we'll have these chiseled into stairs to come up. I think that'll look nice. Which means that's going to need to come up one because this whole area is going to be upraised by one also. And then yeah, this will be ground level. 1.3 damage. What'd I say? Almost midnight in game and it's only -4 out. Which means it is probably safe enough to start planting crops. I might wait one more day. But yeah, most of the crops I'm going to be planting are safe for -5 and below. The carrots are -10. Onions are -1. They're not good for now. Turnips are absolutely good though. They're -5. And the flax is good to -5. So yeah, we can... I think we can get started planting crops and not have to worry about them getting damaged by frost anymore. Now I just need my food to finish cooking because I'm going to start getting damaged by hunger soon. The Bowtorn seem to be holding a party inside my new house. And I wasn't invited. But I think we've come to a good point to end. This is going to take another episode or two just to get all the resources and finish building it. I still have to get enough clay to make the red shingles for the roof. That's going to take a bit of time. And I need to collect a whole lot more claystone for that part there and inside. But we've definitely made progress. It's starting to look good. And since it is now warm enough, I've even been able to plant some crops. I, of course, accidentally planted my rice without checking its temperature, so they're damaged. They're not gonna... Well, they're gonna grow, but I'm only gonna get half yields out of them, so that's a bit of a shame. But the carrots should be fine. The turnips and the cabbage will be fine. And then I planted all of my flax and pretty much all of my spelt. And then some sunflowers also because they look nice. I'm not gonna worry too much about these fields right now. I mean, they are literally set up right now, so this is nitrogen, this is potassium, I think. But I'm not going to worry about it too much because this is medium fertility, and we're going to be replacing all of that with the high fertility in the future. Like, I've got the high fertility over here, but I haven't done anything with the high fertility over here yet. I'll wait on that. But, yep, fields are planted, or at least 2 of them are. And the build is coming along. I need to make a lot of lanterns. I think that might be a project to work on while I wait for the rest of the resources to cook down. And, you know, until we get all the sand and all the quicklime. Because otherwise, we're going to keep having spawns in here. So, and just lighting up all of inside and even around our base might be nice. But those are legit lanterns, not the oil lantern I have in my hand. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a lot of metal. But I think it'll look good. But as I said, here's a good point to end. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you've had a wonderful day. Thank you to my channel members for your support. And I'll see you all next time. Later.